What's cracking, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Iron Maiden. We're going to go back to their first album with Bruce Dickinson, Number of the Beast. Many people rightly regard this as one of their all-time classics. I did already react to Hallowed Be Thy Name. Shout out to the people who interacted with that video. Several people commented on it. You know, there were a bunch of people who liked it. It was very rewarding for me in the sense that, you know, I've been a punk rocker for a long time. I've been listening to techno. I've been DJing techno for a long time. But Iron Maiden is a more recent, in the last 5 or 6 years, deep dive. Didn't know if anyone would care to, you know, listen to these songs with me, talk about the tunes with me, but it does seem that there are getting some interaction, so I'm very appreciative for that. So big ups to all of you. Nevertheless, we're going to listen to a tune called 22 Acacia Avenue. I mentioned when I did the Iron Maiden Hallowed Be Thy Name reaction, and in fact a couple other ones, I believe I had made a similar comment in my reaction to The Evil That Men Do. But this is another song where I was very interested when I paid attention to the lyrics, because again, I had sort of this misperception about metal music. Oh, all the lyrics are probably, you know, embracing carnage and sort of like delighting in pain and suffering and whatever. And it's not like that, or at least, you know, the Maiden lyrics that I've encountered, like, they run a much wider spectrum. And as I've talked about before, I was really intrigued the more I started getting into them once my friend pointed out to me that, hey, you know, a lot of their lyrics are about history and philosophy and, you know, religions and things like that. So this song really intrigued me because when I started paying attention to the lyrics, it occurs to me it's about a working woman, a woman of the night, or a streetwalker, if you will, or actually I think it's about a brothel, not so much a streetwalker. But the point is, it's a woman who's sort of trapped in this life, and she's ultimately being abused and mistreated, and, you know, every perverse appetite that her customers want to exploit and explore, she has to be there for. And ultimately, the narrator is trying to get her to see that in the long run, this is a damaging life. And if, you know, she's being exploited and abused now, but eventually people aren't even care enough to do that. They're just going to cast her aside. No one's going to want to take her into, like, a tender, like, loving relationship. She's essentially, you know, condemning herself to a life of abuse and misconcern, or a lack of concern. And ultimately, he's trying to, in a way, get her out of that life. And by the very end of the song, he actually says, yo, leave this behind, come with me. And again, it's sort of a critique about sort of the, you know, the extreme sexual appetites that some people have, and the way that that can cause suffering and pain for others, especially, you know, their victims, or in this case, their clients, I guess. Or, well, she would be the person with the client. Nevertheless, the point is, it also serves as sort of like a psychological and socio-cultural critique of these institutions, like the one at 22 Acacia Avenue, which I think from the song, it's like the East End of London, you know. I know, like, East London today isn't what it used to be, but my understanding is historically that was the lower income side of London. It was the, shall we say, seedier part of London. So again, I think the implication here is that she's working in a very, you know, kind of bad part of town. She's doing a job that she's essentially selling herself, or as some would say, she's selling her time. Nevertheless, I was interested by the lyrics when I, you know, noticed what they were about, because again, it's someone who cares for another person and doesn't like that they're in a situation where they're feeling pain and suffering, and it's not like embracing someone's misery, it's trying to ameliorate it or relieve it, which I was very interested by. So here we go. This is from the Number of the Beast, 1982, 22 Acacia Avenue by Iron Maiden. Let's get it.
If you're feeling down, depressed and lonely, I know a place where we can go.
And it's sung, this song, I think, from the point of view of a few different characters, if you will. Or maybe the man who's excited to go there at first eventually realizes the implications of what's happening and changes his mind and wants to save one of the women. I'm not sure. Let me know if you have a more solid view of this. Don't we all? Don't we all? Whether it be that or something else. time signature change, right? I mentioned it before, their musical skill is as good as, if not more amazing, than their lyrical abilities. I feel like that line could be a double entendre. Now again, is it the same guy now? Because he's saying, why do you have to live this way? So has his perception changed? Or is this another character? Again, maybe his perception of what these places are and what they do to the women who work there has changed. Or don't, if you know, find a sense of ethics. Yo. When I first heard this album, because this was the first album where I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go through Iron Maiden's catalog, or at least start to, and see what I think. And not only did this album like really like light my brain on fire and make me want to get the rest of the catalog, but one thing I really remembered is like, dude, every song they're like changing tempos and like time signatures and like they have these crazy like interlude flourishes and it's just like they were composing songs, and again I realized what I was listening to was like 35 years earlier, but their sense of song composition is unreal. Although I would maybe say to that, like, you know, maybe she didn't want to throw it away, maybe she ended up in that life. But that's a great point. Like, people that care about you, they won't want you doing this. Take her the fuck out of there. Let's go. Like what? I was gonna say it's just like feel good, which like, I don't know, again, maybe I'm imputing my own understandings, but I feel like there's like, it's a sonic metaphor for some of the content of the lyrics. I don't put anything past Iron Maiden. Like, sometimes when I'm like thinking about music, I'm like, oh, maybe that's just in my own head, but like, Iron Maiden, I feel like the thought that goes into their songs, it does not surprise me if they're like crafting these songs on multiple levels. That little guitar riff on the way out the door is perfection. Yeah, it's amazing. Again, I really do like the music. It has a groovy, like feel good, like just heavy rock sort of feel. Especially in that section, the instrumental section after the last verse. But again, the lyrics. Once I realized, the first time you hear a song, oftentimes you're just kind of vibing with it, and you might catch a line or two, but you're not necessarily getting a full understanding of what the person is talking about. And then the more you listen to it, you start to pick up on other lines, or maybe you just take out the liner notes and kind of follow it as you're listening. But yeah, once I started to realize what he was talking about, I was even more fascinated. It was another example where I mentioned with 2 Minutes to Midnight, I was like, oh shit, it's a song about hey, let's try not to blow ourselves up, and we're dangerously close to doing that. And Fear of the Dark, again, it was about being vulnerable and scared, not about being wicked and aggressive. And this one was kind of the same thing. I was like, oh shit, it's a song about a whorehouse, as sometimes they are called. But the guy, by the end of the song at least, and again, I thought maybe there were two different characters, but hearing it again, he's sort of repeating lines from the beginning, so I think it is the same guy. But by the end anyway, this person is saying yo, this is destroying your soul, this is destroying your life, you can't live like this, I need to help get you out of this. And again, I was fascinated by that, by the sort of emotional complexity of their lyrics. So once again, shout out to Iron Maiden. I just can't believe how great they are, and I sort of slept on them for a long time, but that's partially just because I don't really follow metal. And even since I started following Iron Maiden, it's true that I haven't really branched out into other bands. So it's possible. I mean, look, there are other metal songs that over the years I remember hearing Pantera, The Badge, and the Crow soundtrack, and oh damn, that's a cool song. So there are some songs that have jumped out to me over the years, but generally speaking, I just haven't really followed metal. But when I discovered Iron Maiden, it was well, an exception has to be made, because this is unbelievable. So I am really enjoying going through the catalog. Please let me know if there's any song from any of the Bruce Dickinson albums. I don't know, sometimes the camera's not framed high enough, so I don't know if you can see, but up there I do have all the Bruce Dickinson albums, including Senjutsu, which just came out not too long ago. So seriously, any song from the Bruce Dickinson era, part 1 or part 2, which continues into the present, let me know, because I'd love to react to more Iron Maiden, and I'm going to continue doing it anyway, but it would be cool if people were hey, I really like this song, let me hear what you think about it. So let me know if there's something like that. Otherwise, I really do appreciate people listening and watching. Have a good day, have a good night, and I will see you next time. Peace.